What if I told you that a romance anime, of all things, one about a wolf goddess and a merchant, could actually unlock the secret history of our modern world? Yeah, it sounds a little out there, I know, but their story, it reveals a shocking truth about money, about God, and about the very system we're all living in.
See, at its heart, the anime Spice and Wolf is about finding something real, something constant, in this case, a person, in a world that feels like total chaos, full of ever-changing markets. It's a really beautiful, simple idea.
But what if that whole world of variables, the profit and loss, the scarcity and the wealth, what if all of it is just a carefully constructed story? That's the rabbit hole we're jumping down today.
To really see how deep this illusion goes, we have to start inside the world of Spice and Wolf, because this story, it perfectly illustrates a fundamental truth. Economics isn't really math, it's storytelling.
So, meet Lawrence. He's a traveling merchant, and he's got this one simple dream: make enough money to finally open his own shop. He's a practical guy, but he's also pretty lonely. And then his entire life gets turned upside down by Hollow, who happens to be a centuries-old wolf goddess, who is, you guessed it, just as lonely as he is. What happens next isn't just a simple romance. It's this surprisingly deep dive into the mechanics of money.
And throughout their journey, you see that the economics are all driven by pure psychology. It's incredible. In one scheme, a bunch of furs are suddenly worth way more just because they smell like apples. In another, an entire town's market is manipulated by a single false rumor about a coin's silver purity. They even watch an economic bubble form around literal fool's gold. And every single time the lesson is crystal clear. Value isn't some fixed, real thing. It's just a story we all agree to believe in. And whoever tells the best story, they win.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Spice and Wolf is set in a world that looks a lot like our late Middle Ages, right on the edge of a massive psychological shift in the real world. So the story gets way bigger than the anime. The question isn't just why these schemes work, but why the story of money itself has such a powerful, unshakable hold on all of us. And the answer, it has to do with the changing idea of God.
Okay, so think back. Before the Protestant Reformation, under Catholicism, getting into heaven was pretty straightforward. You followed the rules, you did the right things, you performed the rituals, your actions got you saved. But then Protestantism comes along and introduces this radical, game-changing idea, justification by faith. It wasn't about what you did anymore, it was about what you truly believed deep down in your heart.
And that one little change created this huge psychological problem. I mean, think about it. How can you ever be 100% certain of what you truly believe in your own heart? It's impossible. This doubt led to this deep, crippling anxiety, and with it, a desperate search for some kind of external, visible proof, some sign from the outside world that your inner faith was real and that you were, in fact, one of the saved.
So, where did people find this proof? Where did they turn to solve this massive spiritual anxiety? Well, it wasn't the church. It was the marketplace.
The world is a confusing, subjective place, but money makes it simple. There was this famous experiment where people were asked to taste different wines. They couldn't really tell which was best until a price tag was put on them. And then, all of a sudden, the $50 bottle was obviously better than the $10 one. Money rationalizes the world. It takes all that confusion and boils it down to a single, clear number.
And right here, this is where a brand new ideology was born. I mean, if you are feeling anxious about your inner faith, what better external proof could you ask for than worldly success? Wealth became the visible sign that you were one of God's chosen. And all of a sudden, the goal wasn't just to use money to buy stuff. The goal became accumulating money for its own sake, as the ultimate proof that you were saved.
This is the final step in that transformation. Money stops being just a tool and becomes an object of worship itself. It solved the religious anxiety by basically replacing God.
Okay, so we've established money as our new God. But what is this God really? The truth of how money is actually created, well, this is where the whole system starts to look like the ultimate magic trick. It all started pretty simply. A merchant puts, say, 100 gold coins in a bank and gets a receipt for it. That receipt now gets used as money. Simple enough. But then, the bank turns around and lends out another receipt for 90 coins to someone else, even though the original gold is still just sitting there in the vault. And just like that, poof, money has been created from nothing. It's not a thing, it's a debt, a contract, an entry in a ledger.
The conclusion from this is just staggering. The one resource our entire society is built on, the thing we're all taught is scarce, can be created in limitless amounts, basically out of thin air.
And that right there, that is the central, glaring contradiction of our world. If money is truly infinite, why does anyone have to suffer from a lack of it? Why are there people starving when we could just create the money to feed them?
According to this theory, the answer is, well, it's profoundly disturbing. Poverty isn't seen as an accident or some bug in the system. It's seen as a necessary and totally intentional feature.
So, the logic goes something like this. For an infinite resource to have any value at all, people have to believe it's scarce, and poverty is the mechanism that creates that belief. The fear of being poor is what motivates everyone else to work. Your parents tell you, work hard or you'll end up poor, right? If no one were poor, that powerful drive to get rich would just collapse. In this view, even financial crises and wars serve a purpose. They destroy wealth, which just reinforces that illusion that money is this rare, precious thing we all have to fight for.
So if the entire system is built on this grand illusion, let's circle back to where we started, our story, Spice and Wolf. Because in a world that might be full of lies, the enemy shows us what is actually truly real.
After all his scheming and trading, all his wins and losses, Lawrence faces his final test. He can finally achieve his lifelong dream of owning a shop, the ultimate symbol of monetary success. But there's a catch. Doing it means his journey with Hollow, the person he's come to love, has to end.
His choice is really the same choice we all face, isn't it? The system tells us to chase an abstract, infinite symbol, money. But our own humanity, our hearts, they call us to treasure something else entirely. The finite, tangible connections we have with other people. Lawrence has to decide which currency he truly, deeply values.
And in the end, he makes his choice. He realizes the journey was never actually about the destination. The real wealth, the treasure he actually found, wasn't in a coin purse. It was in companionship. And that leaves us with a final question. In a world of masterfully crafted illusions, all designed to keep us running, to keep us chasing, maybe the most radical thing you can do is just stop. To stop for a second and ask yourself, beyond all the stories and all the symbols, what is really valuable? What is my real currency?